Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And today we are going to be discussing what's your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys probably don't need to hear any advice from us on this one.
But we do.
You don't have any attitude problems. Yeah. But for us. So I'm wearing an appropriate shirt today. Not today, Satan. Just thought I'd point that out. It's intentional. Nice reminder. So what do you guys have issues with as far as attitude goes? What gets you riled up, and how do you get yourself to come back down?
You know what throws off your great attitude is like time. Like when you're busy and you have to do like 5 million things in 5 minutes, and then it's like half impossible to like
get 2 of them done.
Yeah, and then you just feel like rushed. So like if you have
a schedule, but you're not on point? And,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the to-do list of our lives sometimes runs our lives. Like, and it does cause bad attitudes because you're like, oh, I'm like, 3 things behind and I'm supposed to hurry, but like, ah! And then you snap in and then
I was supposed to be there at 10 o'clock and this guy's driving 20 miles an hour under the speed limit.
Just move! Yeah.
That always happens. People pull out in front of you. You hit every single red light on the way somewhere when you're running 2 seconds late, and then 2 seconds turns into 20 minutes, and you find yourself.
And you already left the house like 5 minutes late. You know what I mean? So it's over. It's over. And then
I think we probably get ourselves more worked up than
we need to.
I feel like you don't that 30 seconds in traffic is not going to be. Yeah, it's not. But by the time you get to where you need to be, then you're ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Traffic light.
I just think the
4
rush.
Traffic lights. More than one.
Seriously.
I could shake off.
Yeah. The rush is what makes it throws your joy off sometimes. Excuse me. We allow it to throw our, because let's be honest, it's a choice.
It is.
But it doesn't feel like it.
And no, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel like it. Choice. We don't even realize we made the choice.
Yeah, you don't. You just
play the victim to your circumstance.
Exactly. And all you can see.
That way. Then you're like, wasn't my fault I was running late. It was
all those drivers.
Great explanation for your boss.
All the construction. Yeah. See, you don't get away with it.
Right.
You start using that to your boss.
I'm one time to work, just so you know.
Every day?
Almost every day. Yeah, every day.
I'm actually really good with that. If I'm running a little bit late, I will text my boss like, hey, I'm going to be a couple minutes late. I'm never late, but I just want her to know. In case.
Well, I mean, I do run into traffic. I have to go on a major highway, so that happens because there's other people getting bad attitudes in traffic.
I carpool. This might not be an appropriate story, but I carpool to work, and I work downtown Harrisburg, so traffic can be a hot mess sometimes. And so we were going to get on Front Street, or we were on Front Street, and somebody, when the light turns red and you have people stopped in the middle of the intersection, and it's like, what's your problem? Well, we were stopped in the middle. I was not driving. We were stopped in the middle of the intersection, and it was not her fault. It just happened that way. The light was green. Somebody else had cut somebody else off, and we ended up getting stuck in the intersection. And so this guy, when the light finally turns green the other way, goes flying out around us and starts screaming at her. And I'm like, all right. I understand his frustration. And she goes off and starts yelling at him, and they're yelling back and forth out the window, and I was like, please stop. She's laughing. She thought it was funny, and I was like, oh no.
This is humorous.
He ruined his day.
I have a couple people that come to mind when I think of that, driving like that. I won't say their names.
Sorry if you're watching this.
You are anyways. I won't say it.
Well, what throws your attitude off?
What throws my attitude off? I think I let people throw my attitude off sometimes. Because maybe I interact with them. We talked about this last time. I interact with them and it didn't go how I wanted, so they have an attitude, and so that gives me an attitude, or they didn't handle something the way I wanted them to handle it, so that I have a bad attitude about it. Or sometimes I just might have to do something I don't want to do. And so then that gives me a bad attitude because I can think of 10 other things I should be doing with my time, but now I have to do this task and it's not going like I wanted it to go. My day is not going how I had planned. So that gives me a bad attitude. I am very much about the schedule thing and the time and this has to happen now, this time, one after the other. And when that doesn't happen, yeah, I see my attitude go the wrong way sometimes.
Is it easy to stop yourself though? Once you know you're there?
I'm quick to know that I'm there. And
okay.
And I recognize that very quickly with myself. Like, okay, you are in a place you should not be. Watch your tone,
Back it up there, sister.
Yeah. It's just sometimes it takes me a while to get to that point. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation.
I took a class once, and the instructor we always talked about, like, our posture and, like, how your body language speaks, 75 or 90% of what you do. Yeah. So she had this whole phrase, fix your face. So
I say that all the time.
Sometimes I might be able, like, inside I have an attitude, but literally while I have an attitude, I'm like, fix your face, fix your face. Don't let her know you have an attitude right now. Don't let him know you have an attitude, fix your face. Yeah. So then it's like the battle in here. Like, I have to handle that battle. They might not know I have an attitude. Mm-hmm. It's like the attitude with myself because I messed up my schedule or whatever it might be. So then it's like, am I going to choose to fix my face and fix my attitude or not?
Yeah. In college, used to have somebody, and they would be in a good mood, but their face would be like this. So they'd be like...
There's a term for that.
So they'd be like... This is very G. It's a G situation.
G show.
Yes. G show. Yeah. So then you'd say, tell your face. Like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. Tell your face. Because sometimes we don't realize... And I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes. Like, my focus face kind of looks like mean face. Like, this is me thinking, like... But I'm thinking, like, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally fine. But, like, it gets all serious. But I'm not serious. Like, I don't mean it that way. It's like my focus face. Yeah. And actually, the other day, I looked at my daughter, and I was like, oh, no. I passed it on. Like, she was just focusing, and her mouth was like...
You saw a little dysphobia.
I did. I was like, oh, snap. And she was just like...
Did you ask her what she was focusing on or thinking about?
Listen, let her have her process, Christy.
Right, yeah.
Let the woman think. She knew what she was doing. I was like, I'm not going to interrupt. I don't know if Barbie was going to Ken's house. I don't know. It's not my business. I'm just going to let her process her stuff out.
It's good that you can identify that, though.
Exactly. But sometimes it's not that easy to recognize that in our coworkers and, like, people, other people in different areas of our lives. And sometimes we're like, we allow, and I'm going to use the word allow, their facial disposition to determine our attitude. Be like, oh, why she look at me like that? Mm-hmm. When
attitudes are contagious.
So
you walk into an office environment and everyone is, it's Monday morning and everyone's angry because they haven't had their coffee and they don't want to be at work. They would rather be sleeping or doing anything but work. Yeah, it's Monday. It wears off on you. Yeah. And good attitudes are contagious too. And that's why it's so important. Go do something nice for somebody. It really does get paid forward.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh,
paid forward.
Best.
Paid.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I have a story about that though. One time, I was I was like having a bad attitude in the morning before I even got to work, and I think it was because of like something I had going on after work that I wasn't ready for. I don't know. It wasn't going how I had planned, but I had stopped for coffee, and I was like, you know what? Instead of complaining, why don't we do something nice? And I had bought the coffee for the car behind me.
There you go.
And then, like, I was just in the straight lane and she was going into the turning lane. She, like, rolled her window down, sped up beside me and was like, you just made my day! Aww. And I was like, that just made my day.
Yeah.
And, like, totally changed the entire situation going on in my head.
Yeah, because joy is contagious
really
also. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just as a negative, the positive is also going to be that same.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But then here's the thing with attitude. It's like... Just because Christy was nasty to me does not mean that I automatically have to be nasty back to you.
Correct.
It is such a choice, but we're so emotional as human beings. We're feelers, and we have to feel all the things that we feel about feeling.
Yeah.
Women,
You made me feel.
AKA feelers, you know, and then we're upset because we allowed that person to get us into an attitude, but really they did it.
Right.
Like they just had an attitude, and we decided rather swiftly that we are going to take that on.
Sure.
And that's really difficult. That is really, on a practical level, it is hard to choose to not have an attitude when someone is being really nasty to you. Let's be honest, we're all Christians and all of that, but let's get honest about the situation.
Seriously.
When you want to just like punch them with the Holy Spirit, you know what I mean? Or not the Holy Spirit, just punch them. You know what I mean? Like it's a choice, but it's so hard to just choose love rather than my emotion.
Well, and sometimes I find myself saying, how do I choose love right now? Like, I'm so mad. Like, I don't even know how. So sometimes I just walk away. And maybe that's the easiest way to choose love.
Sometimes that's wisdom.
Walk away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't. Like, for example, my job, I deal with people who are sick, okay? And they'll call me on the phone. There's a lot of policies that need to happen because I work for the government. But anyway, they'll call and they'll just complain to me about all the paperwork they have to do. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. You know, sometimes they get mad. Like,
the words.
you keep sending me this paperwork. I don't know what to tell you, you know? And then that's when I recognize it right away, like, heart starts going.
Not today.
Not today. And luckily, I can get to the point where I can bring most people down, you know?
Yeah.
Talk them down.
I'm gentle, I'm calm, I'm very sweet, I'm a sweet person.
She is.
Yes, she is. She is so sweet. No, I'm kidding.
But usually I can bring them down by the way that I approach the situation. But
Right.
sometimes it's
Which is
hard.
great.
That's true. How you approach it.
Mhm.
Ultimately, but we'll decide how it's going to go.
Because it's easier just to snap. I mean, it's
Oh.
easier just to be like, can you shut up for 5 seconds?
Let
Can
me
you just
explain.
stop? Really?
Yeah.
But you can't do
So,
that.
yeah. Or you want to be like, well, you have an attitude right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're the one with the attitude.
Exactly.
You're making me feel.
Something you said, complain. I think complaining, people complain.
Mm-hmm.
That causes a bad attitude
It really does.
in a lot of
It can
people's
wear
lives. You want to complain about everything. Well, then, like, fix it. Do something. What are you going to do so
Yeah,
you stop
exactly.
complaining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complaining is like the what do you call it? Like the kryptonite of joy. It really is. Like
the enemy.
it gets you to focus on the negative in a constant, speed and level, and then it completely takes joy and go, nah, let's complain about it. Like,
Let's
even confronted with a reason to joy, like, but then you ever talk to somebody and you're like, I know it's bad right now, but consider these blessings. But that's gonna fall away. But
really
that's gonna
do
die.
that.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest, we're humans.
Misery loves company.
Oh my goodness,
Seriously.
misery loves company. But I think it's in some way we have to give ourselves grace to when we mess it up. I mess it up all the time. Like, let's be honest.
It's not me.
But
Perfect.
this one is our model of like
It's true.
perfection. It's like, well,
The
but
shoe fits.
she's wearing it. But you know what I mean? Like there's, none of us are perfect. And while we want to give ourselves grace, we also want to be better people. We want to be improving. We want to be like, okay, maybe that was not the right finger to use in traffic. You know what I mean? There are 4 other choices you had.
You could have done this one.
You could have hit him with the hallelujah finger, but you did it. But you know what I mean? And go, okay, so that's not becoming, of a saint.
And
so let's not
don't
do
know,
that.
like, if when you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, they really could be, they could just be being a jerk, but they really could be going somewhere important. They could have just gotten a phone call, they're on their way to the
Health
hospital
emergency,
or home to make sure
Right.
that somebody's okay.
Then you
You
don't know.
really never
Yeah.
know, and that's really important too. Like, in my job, these people, for the most part, they're sick.
Right.
And so I need to remember that when I'm talking to them, that they
Right.
might be upset because they just got a bad report from the doctor or whatever.
Right.
And I might be the only positive voice they hear for the day.
That's like
Sure.
That's a really good
Sure,
point.
that makes me think of my job. I work with kids, and I swear they think I live there. I think that they think that's my house, I live there, and I never leave. I'm in that same classroom all of the time. And so, but I have my personal life and things are happening in my personal life, and we all do. And so it affects our atmosphere everywhere we go. And I literally have to, like, as I'm walking in, say, like, you're going to set the tone today. And so you're going to leave this at the door because you're going to go in there and they're going to sense what you're going through either way. So are you taking it with you or are you leaving it? Because it's going to be there when I get off anyways.
Right.
So I might as well leave it at the door. There's times this week, last week, probably, I've taken it in there with me and they can feel it. And I mean, they dissolve it instantly, you know, with the way they like just love on me and like are so excited to see me. But it's just like, you don't realize who else you're affecting without even trying to affect them because of your bad attitude.
That's true.
Or your good attitude.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Based on something you said, it's like you have to be intentional about your attitude.
Right.
And it's so easy to get lost in the things that are happening in it. 15 million things can happen between the time you wake up and the time you're even driving to work. I mean, so many things can happen. But it's like making that decision to choose joy and to choose a good attitude, you know, regardless of anyone else. Like, and also, you know, somebody, I don't know who started this, but they were talking about responding versus reacting when things happen. And so many times I'm guilty of this. Sometimes someone else's attitude can drag you into that. But, you know, to not just react and go, ah, but rather, you know, with love and respect, choosing to honor them, even if they were not so honorable to you, choosing that regardless, and then coming up with a response that is more in line with who you are and your actual character, and not just this present situation. And that's huge, because a lot of times with attitude, it's just a domino effect. Well, you may be mad, that person, you know, cut them off this morning, so they're going to do this to you, and then you're going to do to this person, this, and you know, and then, you know, the mailman, you know, gets the brunt of your bad day, and he did nothing.
And then he takes it to the next person,
or he takes it home to his wife, and she's like, "What did I do? I just made you dinner." You know, and it's just we got to.
And she's like, "Fine, you're cleaning up today."
We have to be willing to be intentional about our days, and also to stop those domino effects and say enough is enough.
Right, because you got to go back and pick up the pieces, pick up the dominoes when you behave like that. Yeah,
because if it's a coworker, you can be like, "I'm so sorry about that. I was out of line." You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't leave it just open like that. If you
we can all think of a time where somebody said something to us that really put us on edge or made us feel bad about ourselves, and we can think of a time where somebody unexpectedly said something nice to us, complimented us, or did something nice for us. And you have a choice. Do you want to be that negative person for somebody, or do you want to be that positive person for somebody? Because you are influencing in one way or another every single day, everywhere you go. So the choice is yours, whether you feel like you have a choice or not. You have a choice.
Absolutely.
It's really good.
And I've been blessed by people. Somebody sent me a gift card in the mail. I just opened it up, and it was, you know, there was a kind note in there. I still have no idea who it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so like I want to do nice things for other people because I know how it makes me feel, and they're just so special when you are complimented in some way. You know, it makes you feel good. Even if somebody makes you feel bad, you don't have to make them feel bad in return. You can stop it, put an end to it, not continue that negative pattern. Yes. Yes, respond. Choose to respond. Choose to think, okay, this person's treating me awful, and I really would like to treat them terribly in return. Or punch them in the face. Holy Ghost punch. But I'm going to choose to honor them and to treat them in a way that I would want to be treated.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about unresolved conflicts. Because sometimes there's like, you ever walk into a room and you have like tension with someone else? Which is like, actually, I might know a little bit about that.
Nope, everyone loves me.
Look at this perfect one. She's about to be caught up into heaven. Just watch out for it.
There's some tension here right now.
Here it
comes. But you know what I mean? A lot of times.
I'll wait for you. Hey, girls!
You can look down on us.
Yes.
Hold us up.
I know, right? Throw down a ladder. But a lot of times, the attitudes stem from that, where I have this issue with you and I can't let it go, I won't let it go, I refuse to forgive you. And then it causes these tensions or these attitudes. So I walk into a room and instead of being like, hey Cassandra, how are you? It's like,
yeah, and then you go, hey Christy, do you know what she did to me?
Yeah.
did I tell you what she did to me last week?
Yeah.
Even though I told you like 15 times?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you try to get somebody else to feel that way and cause the conflict.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's double tension now. And
meanwhile, I had no idea I did anything wrong.
You're having the best day of your life.
Little angel over there.
Yeah. And that's silly because that is only gonna hurt me.
Then you're looking for things too, you know, like
that nitpicking.
Guess what? Somebody bought me coffee this morning. Of course they would. That really knew. They wouldn't go buy your coffee.
Let me go tell them what you did.
They're gonna buy me coffee after I tell them that. Yeah.
No, they're gonna need the coffee to like listen to you complaining is really need it for. But yeah, like that's a big issue. Mm-hmm. And because we're not as forgiving as a people as we should be, and worldwide. And half the time, you know, you walk into situations and people are at war for like years, and you're like, well, what happened with you guys? And they're like, well, I don't remember, but I remember I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so then that changes everything. Yeah, if you don't remember it, I think you should move on.
Or if you remember it, the next question is, well, when did that happen? 25 years ago.
Might have expired.
What did they say when you talked to them about it?
I didn't. So every time you see that person, it's a stare down contest, and you guys have never addressed it. What? How does that make sense to anybody?
Right.
So, but I see that all the time.
Yeah, it's sad. It's like, well, and it's like or they say they've addressed it, but it's almost like a passive aggressive. She knows I'm mad at her. Ooh. She knows what she did.
Well, she should know. She should feel bad about it.
Yeah. And so then that, like, nobody wants to be in a room with that person then. Because
you are not fun.
No.
At all. Because you carry. Here's the thing with that attitude. Okay, so attitude has babies. It's called bitterness babies. Ooh, right? And then bitterness is so sour. It is bitter baby.
It is sour and then they're sweet.
No, it's like never sweet.
Never.
You know? And the problem with that is it's so sour everyone tastes it.
Seriously.
So it literally leaches itself onto you.
Yeah, it like taints people.
Yeah, and then you're just known as, oh, bitter Betty over there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you become.
I remember Pastor Dave said in a service one time that somebody was nasty to him and he felt like he got splashed with something.
Like a little bit of transfer.
Yeah. And the Holy Spirit said to him, just think of what it's like living in that. Living in their mess.
Come on.
Yeah. That's true.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's very true. You know, that's true. Sometimes the easiest person to forgive, and I know it sounds like contrary to what we think, but sometimes the easiest person to forgive is that angry, bitter, hurtful person, because you know it has to come from a place of just dark.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, it makes me really sad.
No one should have to live in that kind of agony and pain and anger.
To lash out in that way,
bitterness.
then you're coming from a really, really dark
And it's really
place.
hard for us as humans to see it from that point of view. We as a society love to be offended. We get offended over everything. We kind of talked about this a little bit last time, where people would get offended on Facebook or whatever. People are just looking for a reason to get angry. Do you want to be angry about things?
Do you carry that?
Yeah, you feel miserable when you live life angry at everyone.
Right, and I'm not sure why, just because we feel pain doesn't mean they need to feel the same pain we're feeling, because they're feeling pain. We all are feeling some kind of pain. So instead of passing our pain on, we need to like pass our joy on. We might know where somebody else is feeling pain, and we might have joy in another area, so let's splash them with that instead of always trying to like toss our pain on people. And just because we're upset about something doesn't mean everybody else has to be upset about it. In fact, if you speak up and say you're upset, somebody might be able to help you.
Actually comfort you, or, you know, you can have a sounding board. But that's the thing, like you said earlier, misery does love company.
It does.
It absolutely does. And I think it's because we stop seeing each other as human beings. We stop seeing, we don't want to honor people. We feel like people need to earn our respect. I disagree. If I'm waiting for everybody to earn my respect, I'm not going to respect not one of you. Like, do you know what I mean? And vice versa. You'll find something in me to not respect.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I say, you are created by God. You are loved by Him. He calls you His. I respect you. Even if you are the worst. You know what I mean? So a lot of times we have these attitudes towards people because we feel like, well, they don't deserve my respect.
Yeah.
They don't deserve me to be nice to them. I've had people say that. I'm like, did you hear that coming out of your mouth? It just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, do you think that
What do you deserve?
Respect
What do you deserve? If I looked in your closet, what do you deserve?
Exactly.
You know, I'm not
None of
gonna
us deserve anything. That's what race is all about.
I am not throwing stones.
No. And then we compare the size of the stones. That's the thing. We're like, well, hers is this big. No, but guess what? Like, sin is sin.
Or the opposite, when we're playing the victim. Well, I have this huge stone. You have a little tiny one, so you should. I want the attention.
Right. Yeah.
Look how big my pile of bad stuff is.
Again, like in a lot of the themes, even from like last week, the theme is it gets back on us, right? Yeah. So when you're just thinking about yourself, I'm not gonna think about how my attitude or my reactions to things that you do affects you. I'm only thinking like, well, I feel like I need to be justified right now, so I'm gonna be really nasty to you. I'm be as nasty as I possibly can to you because I don't want to see you as a person. I just want to see my emotion.
Selfish.
I want to see. I want to get instant gratification right now. You know, pop that feeling into the microwave and create chaos. You know, that's what we do instead of, like you said, giving grace. Like, you deserve grace. You have been given grace. Freely you receive. Freely you give. You know, and we just do these games with each other, and we manipulate each other. We, why do we do that? Why can't we
that's not love. Manipulation.
It's the opposite, man.
Manipulation is dirty. I'm sorry.
It's underhanded.
It is. Manipulation is so dirty because, well, I love you, so you'll do this for me. No, that's not love.
Nope.
It's not. And it's not okay to say that to people, and it's not okay to put expectations on people to take care of your responsibility, to manipulate them to do something for you, or to you do something for them because you want it out of your own selfishness. Yeah. That's not love.
Or you want people to, you know what it is? We want other people to manage our emotions for us. So if I can manipulate you into making me feel good, how many marriages break up because, well, you didn't make me happy?
Exactly.
Sweetheart, that was never my job.
Exactly.
Ever my job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That was not my job. Ever.
Well, and we manipulate people.
Say it again.
It wasn't my job.
Not her job. We manipulate people.
Perfect. I'm just sitting over here like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But also, I think we are really good as a society. I see this all of the time. We are really good at manipulating people to believe and think something about us so they actually don't see what they should see. Like putting on a mask. And hiding behind it.
Paint over it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pretty.
That happens a lot. That happens, and that's dangerous. Because then things are going on that we are unaware of because we're so blinded by what they're putting in front of us that we're not taking the time to really get to know who they are. So when something backfires, we're like, where did this come from? Manipulation's not good.
It's never good. Yeah.
No.
Again, if you love, then you're going to learn to manage your own emotions.
Right.
Take responsibility for your bad attitudes and your decisions and, the way you're reacting. Like, we all have to take accountability for what we do.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't make you, oh, perfect one. I can't make you be nice to me. I can't make you, not yell at me because you didn't have your coffee. I can't do any of that, but I don't have to let that transfer over and then I become nasty. Like, I don't have to. It's an absolute choice.
You can drink your coffee and smile while she's yelling at you.
Or just
you don't have to put up with it either.
Right.
I mean, you can say, look, I can come back later if there's something that you need to resolve before we move on with this project or whatever it is. I am noticing that you're not, don't say not in a good mood because that was going to cause issues, but just address it and, hey, what do you need right now? Do you need me to take a step back? Do you need to finish your coffee? do you need to just be angry for a second? What do you need? Because whatever you need, vocalize it, and then I can.
So then I can know.
Need that need.
Right.
Absolutely. But if I don't know, then I'm just gonna be annoying you for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stand here
and that's, you know what? Let's talk about that. Communication. Everybody say it. Communication. Here's again a huge problem. The lack of communication is usually 90% guilty of, to blame for the issues and the attitudes, because we start assuming, and then again there's no communication. So I'm like, well, Christy was so hateful to me this morning, and Christy did not even see that I was in the elevator. She literally didn't even know I was in there. But I read a situation in such a way that she was the nastiest I've ever seen her in my whole life. And this, and of course I'm not going to come to you, because that would be silly. No. I'm not going to come to you and say,
Christy's just like, I gotta get to work.
And she's like, if one more person gets on this elevator, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we don't communicate. And again, that's a part of learning to honor each other, is just to say, you're worth that conversation.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't want to walk around all day being angry at you. And,
people do. People, for whatever reason, hold on to that. It makes you so miserable. Other people see it. Mm-hmm. You know it's there. Do you really want to continue in that? I mean, do you like that muddy feeling? I don't.
No.
And that's why I try to be so quick to recognize when I am out of line and to fix it and to apologize if I know that I overstepped. Because I have, and there was one in particular time where I was very angry about a situation, and it turns out it was my fault. And when I found that out, I was like, woo! I mean, perfect.
That one time.
I mean, the Holy Spirit said, you need to apologize. So I had to.
And that's good to pick up the phone or talk face to face.
I was praying while the phone was ringing. Please go to voicemail. Please come on.
Please don't pick up. Please don't pick up.
No, she picked up.
Of course she did.
Yep. Yeah. So.
But that's great. That's great. It does bring freedom, and you listen to the Holy Spirit. That's another one. I think a lot of times society, the enemy, ourselves, try to say, well, you're powerless against this. Well, of course you're mad because they made you mad. Oh, you know what I mean? Like acting like we're these powerless people. We have all the power because we don't have to do that. And when you do go left and you don't do the right thing, Holy Spirit is your backup. Like, girl, please. Make a phone call.
Turn around.
And he makes sure that they pick up. Do you know what I mean? So your day can be better. Because if they hadn't picked up, you would have still felt that.
And that would have.
You would have.
It would have. I mean, the whole time I was almost in tears because I felt bad for making an accusation that was not true, that I had started. I was to blame, and I was pointing my finger at all these other people. And then when I discovered it was me, I was like, and I was almost in tears having to make this phone call because I knew. One, I felt bad because I was being an idiot, and two, I had to then confess that I made a big mistake.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you grow from that and you learn, and that says a lot to the other person about the way you're able.
Yeah, and I expected the response that I expected. I was like, she's gonna yell, she's gonna be so upset, and she deserves to be. Right. And she was just like, it's okay, it's not a big deal. And I was like,
yeah, imagine that.
It's usually not as bad as you think it's gonna be.
No.
And even if it's as bad as you thought it was gonna be, you still did the right thing.
Yeah.
Did it.
And at the end of the day, you're only responsible for making the right.
Right. Exactly. And that's the
right.
thing. Once we've done the right thing, and we've made the connection, and we've apologized, right, and we've done everything we should. We weren't passive aggressive, but we were forward, we were loving, we were generous. We honored the person. Then the ball's in their court, and they get to decide what they're going to do with it. And it's not. We don't have that splash of dirty on us anymore. We've washed our hands clean of it, and they get to decide what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
I say, there's a saying I say to some friends sometimes, don't let the ugly stick. And I just like that so much because you get so much ugliness thrown at you constantly, all the time. Yeah. And it's your choice. It's your choice not to let that stick to you and change your attitude. Yeah.
It is a choice.
And it really doesn't feel like it really doesn't. But the truth is, you have a choice.
Yeah.
So what do you choose to do with that?
Yeah.
Right. That's so good. So speaking of choices, we know what it's like to manage a life of ups and downs and all arounds and maintaining a schedule and finding balance and order in our life. So I think next week we're going to talk about how do we balance it all and how do we maintain, it's a good piggyback, how do we live with a good attitude and balance our life?
Yeah.
And have a good communication with people as we're balancing soccer practice, work, a husband, life, children, co-curriculars. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So join us next time, and we'd be happy to talk about it then. That's a blooper, but you're gonna see it.
We might leave that one
The
in.
real. All right, see you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.